Ladies and gentlemen and brothers and friends, we are elated. Let me tell you why. This is part two of our homeownership webinar series that we're hosting with NAREB, National Association of Real Estate Brokers. We are extremely excited. At the onset, National Association of Real Estate Brokers and Alpha Phi Alpha came together to help brothers, and not only help brothers, but help the public. We really want to make sure that we educate the brothers. We want to make sure that we educate the public on the importance of building Black wealth through home ownership. I'm Joe Paul. I proudly serve as the Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer of the greatest fraternity in the whole wide world, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And before I continue, I want to take this point of personal privilege to bring up someone who's going to be she's actually driving. I'm in the passenger side. But bring up Miss Washington of National Association of Real Estate Brokers, NAREB.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. No complaints at all. I know that we're ready to get this road on the show, right? The show on the road. We have some
very good panel lined up.
Yes, it's going to be absolutely great. I think before we do that, we want to invite the good Lord into the conversation and turn it over to Brother Antoine Thompson, who is Executive Director of National Association of Real Estate Broker. Brother Thompson, how are you today?
I'm doing great, brother. How are you?
Listen, if I were doing any better, I'd be triplets, my brother. That's the truth. That's the truth. But Brother Thompson, we're so glad to have you. We're excited about the partnership that our organizations have established. And if you wouldn't mind, would you mind leading us in prayer?
I would be honored and grateful to be able to lead the prayer. I want to just again thank you as the new Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer, and Brother General President Ward for his leadership and his determination to increase the rate of Black home ownership in the country. But I'll take a moment to pray, and I want to thank our dynamic leader, Laura Washington, who has been guiding us through this and helping us expand that with our national president, Mr. Donnell Williams, as well. So we are so excited. Father, we come today to say thank you. Thank you for praying for us. Thank you for guiding us, Father. We thank you for the 7 jewels of this great fraternity that had the vision and the tenacity to lead and to be courageous to start this great fraternity in 1906, Father. We also thank you, Father, for the 11 men and 1 woman that had the vision and the courage and tenacity as well in 1947 to create the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. Father, we know that one of the things that this fraternity believes in is servants of all. And we know that one thing that NAREB believes in is democracy and housing. This intersection of these 2 ideals are critically important as we talk about growing the rate of Black homeownership in the country, Father. We ask that you pray for these speakers. We ask that you pray for both organizations. And we ask that you pray that you bless our community, Father, so that we can truly grow the rate of Black homeownership, strengthen families, and leave this country better than we found it. In your name, Father, we thank you. We ask for your blessings and your mercy in the days ahead. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Brother Thompson, for those amazing words. Ms. Washington, we got work to do.
Yes, we do. Thank you, Mr. Antoine, our Executive Director for the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. So we appreciate you for that wonderful prayer. So tonight we're going to talk about a journey through homeownership. I'm excited as the Civic Engagement Chair for the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. As part of my job, I'm here to help bridge the gap in homeownership out there. Our homeownership rate currently as African Americans is 44% compared to our white counterparts, where their homeownership rate is at 67.9%. So there's a big disparity there between the homeownership rate. Now, while we have made some progress since 2019 second quarter, where we were currently at 40.6%. We've made some progress, but we still have a long ways to go because there's almost a 30% gap there between Black homeownership and white homeownership. So it's crucial and is important as NARB to partner with our faith-based and our civic organizations to help us increase the Black homeownership rates out there. We have the our male and female between African American, the rates are pretty much close. Our female African Americans at 37.1%, while our males are at 37.6%. As compared to our white counterparts, who females are at 66.5% that own homes, and their males are at 70.1%. So we're here partnering with our Phi Alpha fraternity and helping to increase the homeownership within the Black community as well as within their organization. This is second of many events that we will have. So tonight we're going to kind of take that journey through homeownership and to take you through from the beginning to the end, you know, how to get started if you looking to purchase a home, the process involved in it, and take you to the end of getting your keys. So we have some dynamic partners that's going to talk about the areas, certain areas that specialize in. We have a lender, we have title, etc. That's going to talk about those different things. So we're going to, without further ado, get started. We're going to have Mr. Joe Paul come in and give us some information regarding the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity.
Thank you, Ms. Washington. I tell you, it's really amazing. Here's what's amazing. We sent out a survey to all of our brothers. It's a homeownership survey, and some of you are watching, completed that survey. Thank you. Now, here's what's amazing, Ms. Washington. We had 4,500 responses to the survey.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow. Can you believe that?
Awesome, yes.
4,500. And we learned a lot about our brothers. What's amazing is 63% of our brothers who responded are actually homeowners. Now, this doesn't surprise me because we're Alpha Phi Alpha, so we're ahead of the game. But the good news is we have 60% of homeowners who are also open to second homes, vacation homes, et cetera. And we're going to focus on that 40%. Now, the average age of homeowners in the fraternity is about 40, 41. So we shaved about 7 or 8 years off the national average. And another thing that stuck out was there were about 700 plus veterans who self-identified in that survey. And I know NARAB has programs for veterans, programs for first-time home buy. I mean, you literally run the gamut. And so those are some pretty interesting numbers, and we're still diving into the data so we can make more sense to us. And our goal, Ms. Washington, as we discussed earlier, between our two organizations, is to get at 1,000 new homeowners that look like you and I. And we want to be able to bridge that gap and attack that 48-year stat that's on us. It makes no sense. Like you said, 48 years old is the average age that people who look like us purchase their first home. And our counterparts are at 34. Is that right?
Actually, younger.
Younger than 34.
Yes. Well, so, we have to do our part in making sure that we are one, because homeownership is the key. It's the number one thing for building wealth within our community. 52% of our wealth comes from homeownership, but yet we're only at 47%. And statistics also show that if we don't change that by 2052, wealth will become extinct within the African American community. So we have to do our part in making sure that we are improving and increasing the wealth within our community so that we do not become extinct and that the wealth continues to grow. So homeownership is the key and number one in starting wealth within our community. So it's out there, there's programs out there, and we're going to talk about those different programs, and hopefully, we can help the individuals and families within our communities move on to homeownership and build that wealth that can become generational after generational wealth.
Yes, build that generational wealth. And so I do know that we have a group of experts, Ms. Washington, who we're going to invite into the conversation. And that's why everybody's tuning in. They want to hear from my experts, because a lot of folks, they don't know what step one is, which was one of the questions that we asked. What is keeping you from purchasing your first home? And so I'm just excited about our panel of guests who are subject matter experts, who's going to paint some color to this blank canvas that we have to help brothers and guests and friends purchase their first, second, or third home. So I'll turn it over to you so we can introduce our panel and get that conversation started.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear from our panelists. We have some experts out there that's in the field, they're working the field, and they're going to give us some tips, some points tonight, and, starting that journey through homeownership. We're going to have the panelists introduce themselves, but first we have Juan Lashley, a branch manager with Legacy Home Loans. We have Miss Jerry London, an attorney and escrow officer with MPR Title LLC. We have Jerry Isham, broker with Movement Realty. And we have Miss Jacqueline Gathers, owner of Pillar to Post Home Inspection. So let's welcome our panel. We can't wait to hear the information that they have to share with us tonight. And thank you guys for taking time out to be a part of this awesome panel and sharing your knowledge with homeownership. And, thank you for being partners with us, with NARAB and with Alpha Phi Alpha, and helping them to grow those 1,000. They committed to 1,000 new homeowners within their organization within the next year. So we have a lot of work to do. So let's get started. So we're going to have the panels introduce themselves, tell a little about themselves and what they do and who they're with, and then we're going to move forward. We're going to start with Juan.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me be part of this panel. My name is Juan Lashley. I work for Legacy Home Loans. I'm a branch manager here in Sacramento, California. I've been doing loans for about 21 years, and I feel like I'm just getting started. My area of expertise is down payment assistance programs in California, and I'm just looking forward to being part of this. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Juan. We're going to move on to Miss Jerry London.
Hello, good afternoon, well, good evening. I'm Jerry London. I am the owner and founder of MPR Title. I am a licensed attorney, and I also am a licensed escrow officer. I have office here in the Texas area, and I'm so grateful that I'm able to share information with you in you becoming a homeowner and how title plays a role in that process.
Well, thank you, Miss Jerry London. We're going to move on to Miss Jacqueline Gathers.
Good evening, all. I'm super excited to be here. I'm Jacqueline Gathers. I'm a New York State licensed home inspector and owner of Pillar to Post Home Inspectors. I conduct quality home inspections throughout the New York City area, and my goal is to educate the home buyer on the importance of the home inspection process. If anyone tells you to bypass the home inspection process, they are not looking out for your best interest, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Ms. Gathers. And last but not least, Mr. Jerry, introduce yourself.
Jerry, we want to hear all the amazing things you have going on, my brother. Don't keep us from hearing those secrets. Come on now.
Unmute.
Yes, that's the other thing I was going to say.
Unmute, Jerry.
Okay, there we
go.
Apologize. To be on with everyone, I really appreciate the time and the alphas, as well as our NARAB, NAREB. And Laura, I'm glad to be a part. I'm a real estate broker in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been in real estate over 30 years, and homeownership is really the most empowering thing that an individual can do, if you ask me. And NAREB is NAREB is one of the best at doing it, especially its mission is to empower Black homeowners. And I love being a part of that. And once again, thank you for having me on your panel tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Jerry. So this is our awesome panel that we're going to hear from. So we're going to dive into the home buying process. If you're just getting started with the home buying process, we're going to help walk you through that. And you may be your first time buying a home, or it may be your second time buying a home. You know, the home buying process today, even a year ago, is different. So if you brought your home 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the home buying process is totally, totally different. So we hope that you can pick up some nuggets today and learn about this process, whether you are a new home buyer or you are a move up buyer or a move down buyer. You may want to downsize and start that process all over again. It's an incredible opportunity out there with the interest rates as low as they are right now. So let's get started and let's get moving. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about the home buying process. And Jerry, as a real estate broker, would you agree that the first step to purchase a home is to meet with a real estate professional? Why or why not?
No, it's kind of twofold. Most of the time, that's how it naturally happens. As real estate professionals, we out there networking. But one of the things that I recommend is even after I meet my clients or potential clients, is we get them to lenders so that they can get qualified and see how much house they can afford. And that's really the best place to start. It's just like going into the grocery store. You don't want to go in there and don't know how much money you have.
Awesome. That's great. Great advice. What are some questions as a buyer should they be asking a prospective real estate agent professional?
Well, as the questions that I mostly hear from the buyers is one, can I trust you? How honest are you in your integrity? What do you do? How long you been doing it? How familiar are you with certain areas? Things of that sort, and as well as most of the time they want to make sure that someone's there to guide them in their representation, and that's really important to a first-time home buyer.
So you would say that it's important that those questions, and you put them at ease with making sure that each question that they ask, that you give them the correct information and making them at ease for this process.
Yeah, I have like a 30-minute consultation. I do it electronically, and I go step by step through the whole process of purchasing, about the representation, inspections, appraisals, title. But I just briefly touch on things and things that they should expect from a realtor. Comps in the area, down payment money, things of that sort.
So you would easily say that, when a buyer is speaking with a real estate agent, they want to make sure that that person have their best interest and they're going to take the time and explain that process to them and not just rush them through the process.
That is correct. And I really stress to the buyers that's out there that they have the power. Everything, we as real estate professionals, the lenders, most of us don't get paid until this is completed, until the transaction is done. And so the buyer is really the one who makes this whole thing go. And that power, as long as a buyer knows that power, then they really grasp the real understanding of home ownership. Because all of this and all of the people on this panel tonight is a process of that panel that makes the buyer transaction, wonderful.
Awesome. Okay, Jerry, what would be some advantage? What would be a difference between a prospective buyer that's qualified or non-qualified?
Well, when you said prospective buyer that's qualified, that's one who's lender approved and ready. They went to a lender. They went to the lender like Juan Lashley, and she sat down with them, got their information, looked at their check stubs, their W-2s, got them in a pricing point that they were comfortable within their budget. That's what having a qualified buyer looks like, and give them a letter saying, hey, they can afford a house at X amount of dollars.
Awesome, Jerry. Awesome. We'll come back to you. So now we're going to move and talk about a little bit. You've talked about the home buying process and why they should get a professional to help them. So now we're going to move on and talk more about the actual approval process. So we're going to have Mr. Juan Lashley come up.
Hello? Yes. So the approval process is when you start by taking the application over the phone or either doing one online at my website, and that requires like putting down like your name, where you live at, your job, your income, and all that information. Once all that's in the system, then what I do is I will run your credit and see what you qualify, see what the credit is. And then we check your documentation, like your bank statements, your pay stubs, your tax returns, make sure all that stuff matches what you provided to me on the application. And as long as that stuff matches up and we put it into the system, we can get it's called an automated underwriting approval. And then that approval is what we go by to condition the loan to that the underwriter will look for stuff that we have to qualify you for to get qualified to purchase the house. And once you do that, then it's time to go looking for homes, and your real estate agent will set you up in a portal, and it's time to go look for that house that you'd like to buy.
This is really good, Mr. Lashley, because a lot of times when someone is in the process of buying a home, they may come to a lender and they have a pre-qualification as opposed to an actual approval. And I've seen this happen where someone brings their pre-qualification, hey, I can buy this house now. But what's the biggest difference between a pre-qualification and an actual approval from a lender?
Well, that's a big difference. What carries more weight, and especially in this market right now, here in California, I can only speak for California, but it is really hard to see homes that if you aren't pre-approved or pre-qualified to buy. Now, if you are pre-qualified, that means that I as a lender have looked at your documentation and looked and ran your credit and so forth. It's a huge difference to have an underwriter approval letter that says that the underwriter has reviewed everything and you're ready to go. When you have that underwriter approval letter, it's pretty close to cash, because the only things that we need to do in the sense once you get in a contract is update a pay stub, maybe update a bank statement, because those things have to be within 30 days, and then get an appraisal and a preliminary title report, and we're off to getting your loan closed. So we can go with that underwriter approval letter and close your loan really, really quickly. I'd probably say in my market, about 17 to 21 days from start to finish, as opposed to the pre-qual, it'll take you about 30 days.
Wow, 17 to 21. Now that's from the beginning to end, from coming into your office to actually being handed the keys?
Well, it's a little bit longer than that, but once I get the documentation, that process to get reviewed by the underwriter usually takes about 2 weeks. We have to verify your pay stubs, get your tax returns, all that good stuff to basically qualify you. I call it vetting you, to make sure that you are actually truly ready to buy, because it'll carry a lot more weight, and you'll be able to go in there and know that once your offer is accepted, there's going to be no bumps along the way to prevent you from getting those keys at the end of the time when it's time to close.
Fantastic. I have one more question for you, Mr. Lashley. I also want to encourage our audience and our brothers, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions that you have for our panel of experts, please feel free to use that comment section on Facebook or YouTube, and we will get to as many as time allots. So, Mr. Lashley, one more question. Now, one of the things that everyone has, whether they like to admit it or not, once you run their credit, you see student loans. And a lot of people who look like us think that, and one of the things that were identified in the survey when we're asking, what are some of the biggest hindrances that you feel has been keeping you from purchasing your first home or your home? And we received a lot of information from brothers who say, hey, look, my student loans are et cetera. And so how does student loans actually affect the ability to purchase a home? Does it have an effect?
That's a very good question. So the difference of that is you have we have a few products, but I'm going to talk about the main ones, which is FHA and conventional. And then the other one is VA. It's not as used as much, but for the most part, we have FHA and conventional. On FHA, we have to use 1% of your total balance of your student loan debt. So if you have a $10,000 student loan debt, we're going to use 1% of that. If you have a $100,000 student loan debt, we're going to use 1% of that amount on FHA. On conventional, totally different story. We can use whatever is stated that you can get a letter for. If their student loan says $1 on conventional, we will use $1. If it says $500, then we're going to use $500. A lot of the times on the conventional products, we can, a lot of people are in deferment. So what I have to do is ask them, because on the statement, on the credit report, it'll show that, that they have a $1,000 payment. And I say, but the student loan is deferred on a conventional product. I'll say, call your student loan company and ask them to provide you something that if you were to start paying, how much is the minimum that you can pay, and get me that letter. And that's all that I need to use that on the conventional product. So it's a huge difference. But a lot of people get locked into FHA because of credit issues and things that won't allow them to get into that conventional financing. So the minimum credit scores that we're looking for on the conventional financing is at least 660 and above. To be able to get you lower MI, mortgage insurance on your loan, higher, better, but that's usually the minimum. Anything less than that, then you're probably going to end up with an FHA loan because it's going to be more tailored for you. But the student loan debt is calculated very, very differently between FHA and conventional.
That's fantastic. And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this, because I know that a lot of brothers or anyone who's even watching is wondering, well, that's all good and well, but I have well below a 660. Does that prevent me from purchasing a home?
Not at all. Not at all. I always say this is that, it's better to know where you're at than to not know it all. So you need to know at least where your credit scores are at. Sometimes you got to do some tweaking to get your scores, like pay down credit cards or to get a collection company to remove from your credit. And there's a lot of reputable credit companies out there credit repair companies that can help you do that. I had one gentleman that came to me about 4 months ago, and he was right around like a 580. And he did some things that we told him to do, pay off your credit cards, but fight these the collection accounts that you have on your credit. And he was able to get those off of his credit, and pleasantly surprised, he's closing his home loan by the end of this month with a 680 credit score. So it can be done. Got 100 points out of it just by doing a few things in a few months. So you have to try. You got to know where you're at to know what you're going to be able to do, what you need to do to get you qualified.
Now that's fantastic. And I know Ms. Washington is going to be presenting our partner spotlight shortly. We did have a couple of questions, if it's okay with you all, from the audience that I think are pertinent to the conversation that we're having now. Are you okay with answering a couple of these questions, Mr. Lashley, while we still have you?
Of course.
All right, Ms. Washington, we're good. You're driving. I'm on passenger side. Thumbs up.
We're good.
That's all I need to hear. So, all right, Mr. Lashley, we have a question from Kumar Chambers. Does going through the pre-qualification process have a negative impact on your credit?
Not necessarily, because the credit bureaus want you as a consumer to be able to shop for a mortgage. So there's a specific difference. There's different algorithms that's used for credit cards, cars, and mortgages. So if you have 3 or 4 different credit card pulls and 3 or 4 car pulls or 3 or 4 mortgage pulls, they're all considered separate pulls. So they want you to be, as a consumer, to be able to shop and get the best deal possible, because one person should not be Well, I say this: come to me, and you're going to be. I'm going to take care of you. But sometimes you might not find that lender that has really got your best interest, so you might need to shop around.
Fantastic. This is good. Let's see. We may be able to squeeze in one more. So because they're coming in. So here's one. What is considered a high debt to income ratio?
Okay, so that's our benchmark that we're looking for right now is 45 and below. So we can go higher, but sometimes it's harder to get that automated underwriting approval. So if we can go up to 49%, then with good credit, then it'll allow it to be done. I have got as high as like a 51, but somebody had really, really good credit, and they had a lot of reserves and stuff like that. So it just all depends. I say this is everybody does not need to be considered in the same basket. Everybody is going to be different. And when you're talking to that friend and that coworker and that brother that got their house, you can't put yourself all in the same basket. Everybody's going to be different. So just but that's the rule of thumb is 45 and below.
Last question.
No problem.
And then we'll shift over because I don't want to get in trouble by Miss Washington. So last question. From August Rain, can you recommend any reputable credit repair companies? Because I know, again, one of the pain points that were identified in the survey was brothers either thought they had poor credit or needed to fix their credit, or was given the reason why they could not purchase a home was because of their credit. So are there any reputable credit repair companies that NARAB represents recommends, or you recommend?
Is that question for me or is it for Laura?
It's actually for both, but we'll start with you, and then we'll move over to Ms. Washington. Okay. We're going to actually do our partner spotlight. But if you could answer that, maybe one or two companies
I utilize a lot is Continental Credit, and they're out of Denver, Colorado. Very, very reputable. The gentleman that I work with, his name is Sebastian. And then another company that I use is Lexington Law. They tend to be very, very thorough. And the turn times are really, really acceptable. The gentleman that is buying his house at the end of this month used Lexington Law, but both of those are really good in my perspective. I know that there's others that Laura can recommend, but from my perspective, I would recommend those two.
So Lashley, you have been absolutely incredible. I know you've added tremendous value to this conversation. And before we both get in trouble, we're going to pass it over to Ms. Washington.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you, Juan, for that wonderful information regarding getting ready, get loan ready to purchase that home. As I tell everyone out there, everyone can purchase a home if you desire to purchase one. You may not be able to purchase right then and there. You may have to do a little bit of work, but if you desire to have a home, the opportunity is out there for everyone to do that. You just have to do a little work, be diligent, and just move forward. So without further ado, we have a NARAB partner spotlight that we want to come on in, and it's going to fit in perfect with what we're talking about, because they're talking a lot of times, one of the main reasons why we as African Americans can't purchase a home is because we don't have the money to purchase the home. So we're going to have Mr. Aminu come in and talk to us about down payment assistance. He's with Shanoa Fund.
Yes, my name is Emmanuel with Chinoa Fund. I'm a corporate account director. So what I do on a daily basis is to help homeowners, home buyers, realtors, and lenders learn about the Chinoa Fund program and how we can assist people with down payment that need down payment assistance. We work nationwide with the exception of New York. So if you're in any state besides New York, we'll be able to assist you with the down payment.
What are some of the qualifications needed to assist and get access to the funds that you offer?
Yes. So we have multiple programs. Right now, we have our Rate Advantage, which is our most popular, and the FICO score on that is 640. Maximum DTI, debt to income ratio, is 50%. And we also have our forgivable option, which on that one is 620. And depending on your credit score, it's per automated underwriting approval. So we can help home buyers depending on where you're at with your credit or your debt to income ratio with the down payment assistance of either 5% or 3.5%.
And are those criteria pretty standard across the board, or they vary from state to state?
The standard, that's the benefit about working with Chenoa Fund. If you move from, let's say, Georgia and you move to California, all the underwriting guidelines are all the same. So you don't have to worry about if you're getting a fair shake or not.
Awesome, awesome. So what, if someone wanted to get started, are you working with all lenders, or are there particular lenders that you work with?
So we don't work with every lender. We work with a select group of approved lenders, partners that offer the program with you. NARAB is one of our partners too. So any of the realtors can offer the program to you. You just have to talk to your lender or your realtor and say, hey, I do not have down payment assistance. What is available for me? And then they'll present you the Chenoa Fund along with other state housing programs in your state.
If someone wanted to find out more about the Chenoa Fund, where would they go?
They will go online to chenoafund.org, and you'll see at the top there's 3 tabs: one for lenders, one for realtors or realtists, and then one for home buyers that will give you more information. Or you can reach out to me, just search me on Facebook, and then I can help you out with finding a lender in your state or in your city.
Well, we thank you for that valuable information, informing them about the information on down payment assistance that's available through Chenoa Fund. That's available through all states except New York.
Yes.
So there's an opportunity out there for you to get those funds to help and assist you purchase a home. So no excuse to be still renting out there and making the landlord rich. So thank you for that information. So now we're going to move on and continue to talk about our process. We started with the home buying process of selecting your agent. We've gone through the process of you getting approved for the loan. And then you've gone through the process of getting some down payment assistance to help you with your purchase of your home. We've picked the home out. So now once you pick that home out, that home has to go through a process. So one of those process and one of the individuals, because you have a team of people when you're purchasing a home, it's not just by yourself. So don't go out there trying to do it all on your own. Establish your team. You have your real estate professional, you have your loan officer, you have your title, you have your home inspection, appraiser. Everyone, those are considered your team. You need a solid team when you're out there purchasing a home. So we're going to have Ms. Jacqueline Gathers come up and talk about the home inspection process.
Good evening, and I'm super excited to be here, and I'm going to talk about the home inspection process. When do you set up the home inspection? Timing is very important. You want to get that home inspection done before you sign the contract. So your realtor found you the perfect home, you have your funding lined up, you put in an offer for a property and your offer is accepted. Before you sign that contract, you get that inspection done. Because by having the inspection done after you sign the contract, you give yourself no wiggle room, no negotiating tools or anything like that. So you check with your state and find out what the qualifications are for home inspectors. I'm in the New York City area, so New York State, you have to have a license to conduct home inspectors. So you have to make sure that that license is valid. You want full transparency on any of their correspondence, their website. That license number should appear there, and that license is good for 2 years, and it has to be renewed every 2 years. So you want to make sure they have a license, and you want to make sure that they have insurance. Ask them, how much error and omission insurance do you have? Your average inspector has $500,000 worth of error and omission insurance. I come with $1 million, because you know what properties are like in New York. $250,000 houses are in Mississippi and Alabama. They are not in New York. So you need to make sure you have enough insurance to cover the cost of that home in the event something goes wrong. What to expect with the inspection? They should be inspecting the major arteries of the home, which is the roof, the electrical, the plumbing, the foundation, the heating, the cooling, everything in the interior, opening doors, opening windows, turning on faucets. I've come behind inspectors and I've had clients tell me that the inspector never turned on the water. How can you check the plumbing if you don't turn on the water? So it's important that they check everything in their home. And another thing the inspector is responsible for is giving you an idea of life expectancies of certain components of the home. And that's important because if I do an inspection and the roof is near the end of its life cycle, that buyer knows that in the next year or so, they are going to have to spend money to repair that roof. And that's something that you might be able to negotiate with the prospective seller if you know that the roof is at the end of its life cycle, if you know the boiler is at the end of its life cycle. No home is perfect, but you want full transparency when you're purchasing a property so you as the buyer can make an intelligent decision about the property. You might decide, listen, the roof needs to be replaced, but the price is right. It's in a perfect neighborhood. I'm just going to budget myself to have the roof repaired if the seller doesn't want to offer any concessions. So those are the major things you look for when you have an inspection done. You want to make sure that you can get an inspection scheduled as soon as possible. The New York real estate market is on fire, so you cannot afford to wait a week to get an inspection done and another buyer comes in, makes an offer, and that house is not there anymore. So you want to make sure that A, you can get an inspection as soon as possible, and B, you want to make sure that you don't have to wait 8 days for an inspection report. My program is on an iPad. We print the report as soon as the inspection is done. It's sent electronically, so there is no waiting for any reports with pillar to post because time is money and you need to keep the process going. That's all I have to say. Again, that inspection is super important. If anyone tells you to bypass that inspection process, they are not looking out for your best interest. And just to add to that, co-ops, condos, new construction, I get asked all the time, does it need to be inspected? Absolutely. You should have an inspection done on any property that you're purchasing because this is your largest investment. Why would you not have an inspection done?
You are so on point, Ms. Gathers. I definitely want to do two things. I want to remind our audience to please, this is the moment that you have to ask questions. And I strongly encourage you to use that comment section to ask as many questions. We will be coming up to a point in the program where we open it up for Q&A, but fill up that comment section with all the questions. We want you to leave with as much knowledge as possible for this home buying process because we all know knowledge is power. So Ms. Gathers, really quickly, I have seen situations where some folks have gone in, done an inspection, and then after the purchase of the home, they found some stuff that the inspection didn't find. Have you experienced anything like that before?
Absolutely. Remember, the home inspection, it's a visual inspection. Okay, so if there's something going on behind a wall that is not visible to the inspector, they really can't be held liable for that. And that's where that error and omission insurance comes in place. If people make mistakes, sometimes things are missed. If it's a big issue and it's really gonna cost the homeowner costly money, that's where you want to check and make sure that that inspector has insurance because that's something that the insurance will cover. But again, we don't have eyes, we can't see behind walls. If it's something that's not visible to the inspector, they cannot really be held accountable for something like that.
That's a very good point. Question for you now: if you were to give advice to our audience and say, "Hey, look, before you choose an inspector, because inspections is a necessary part of the home buying process," you agree with that?
Yes.
Yes. So before someone goes out and chooses an inspector, what's something that they definitely should look out for? Because we know everybody wants to choose you. So what are some of the things that they definitely should look out for when choosing a reputable inspector?
Okay, certain things are red flags. Okay, if you call, it goes to voicemail and no one calls you back within 3 business days, that's a red flag. Okay, if you call the inspector and they can't seem to answer the questions that you have for them, like you might ask them, well, how long is it going to take to do the inspection? And without even knowing the square footage of the property, if they tell you an hour, that's a red flag. because a 3,000 square foot house is going to take more than an hour to inspect. So you have to do due diligence and ask them certain questions. Ask them, do they provide any added services such as termite inspection, mold inspection, radon, which is an odorless gas, number 2 cause of lung cancer. Ask them, do they do any of that type of testing? And ask them, how soon can you get an appointment and how soon can you get that report? Those are important questions that you should ask the inspector when choosing. And one last thing, just like board certified doctors, you want an ASHI, ASHI certified inspector. And these inspectors are certified by the American Society of Home Inspectors, and they took a little more classes, they have a little more education, and they are the cream of the crop of home inspectors.
Now, that is just fantastic news. I know that our audience definitely will benefit. One last thing, Ms. Gathers, what if people wanted to choose your amazing company? How would they be able to do that?
Well, if you Google my name, you can go to my website. You can go to pillartopost.com, put in the zip code to where your property is located. I'm in the New York City area, so you can Google me. You can go to my website, and you can find all the information you want about me.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Ms. Gathers. Don't go anywhere because we have a Q&A portion that we're going to be fielding some questions, but it absolutely added tremendous value to the conversation. I want to bring Ms. Washington back up because we have several parts. We have several parts to this process, Ms. Washington. We've gone through the initial stages. We've even got an inspection done, right? And you know, that's when you know it's getting real, when you get to the inspection part. So I want to turn it over to you. I know you and Jerry have a couple of things that you want to talk about as we talk about the title and the closing. So you've got the floor. And one last thing, Ms. Washington, you know we want to hear the amazing things you have to say. Don't be stingy, man.
Sorry about that.
Of course, of course.
Thank you for that. Yes, we've definitely gone through that process. We've gone through the inspection. Now, when you've gone through the inspection, you worked out all the details as far as any repairs are concerned. So you're ready to move forward. So in order to take this to the closing part of it, then that file has to go through a title or a closing attorney. So we have Miss Jerry London with NPR Title that we're going to talk to about the title process. Ms. London, can you give us an overview of what that title process looks like once you receive a contract?
Definitely. So once we get the contract, what we're going to do is we're going to receive that contract in and notify all the parties that we're going to be the title company who's going to get you to the finish line. Once you submit your contract to the title company, you need to have your earnest money and option fee. I know Ms. Jenkins just spoke about the inspection, and one of the big things about the option fee is that in Texas, it gives you a protection period to cancel the contract at any time during an option period. And that's a negotiated fee. Typically is anywhere between $100 to $500 for the option. And it's typically anywhere between 5 to 7 days. So calendar days, not business days. But it definitely protects you, so that way if you are unable to get the inspection prior to signing the contract, you can get the inspection during that option time, and you are able to cancel the contract for any reason during an option time. I always encourage all of my realtors and buyers to get that, because anything can come up during that time. You can even find another house if you want to during that time, and you'll be able to get your earnest money back. And so what the earnest money does is it's your commitment to buy the property. After we have received the contract in, we will do a title search. And what the title search does is it allows us to get the history of the property. So we are looking for the owners of the property. We're also seeing if there are any liens or mortgages on the property, because all of that is going to need to be paid in order for clear title to be able to be given to you. And so once we do that, we are going to be working with not only your realtor, but we're also going to be in heavy communication with the lender, because everything that we get, we're going to forward that to the lender, so that way we can get all of your closing costs together and to get you to that closing table.
Awesome, awesome. Are there, can you discuss some things that can stop or possibly slow down the process of closing on a property while in that title process?
One of the main things, well, a couple of main things. One is failure to communicate with your realtor or your title company. During this time, we're going to be asking for a lot of information, and it's just really key, especially as the buyer, that not only are you communicating with the title company, but that you're also communicating with the lender. We can only get you to the closing table once the lender has cleared us to close. So that is really key in making sure you keep that communication open with the lender. If they're asking you for documents, you get them those documents that they need. Other things that can hold up title is if we are unable to get payoffs, and that's mostly a seller's responsibility. But if there are payoffs that are needed, or there are HOA documents, which are homeowners association documents, and liens that may come up. It could be a judgment lien on the property, or it could be a situation where there were some deceased parties in the transaction that we have to clear up. So I always tell all the parties, the more you communicate with us when we ask for the information, the quicker we can get you to the closing table.
Awesome, awesome. So, Ms. Jerry, is any parting words you would like to leave, or any suggestions or tips for anyone that's looking for purchasing a home?
Definitely. Like we've said throughout this call, it is really important that you have a team. We're here to get you all those keys. And so when we are asking you questions or we need any information, please provide it to us. In addition to that, always, if your state does allow it, ask for an option. Ask for that option and make sure you get that inspection. I have seen contracts where they did not get that inspection done and they didn't get an option, and it was not nice. So definitely be in constant communication with your realtor, your lender, and ask questions. Ask questions. That is going to be the key to getting you to that finish line.
Thank you, Ms. Jerry. Now, if there's anyone that wants to get in contact with you or your company, how would they contact you?
Yes, you can contact me. You can search mprtitle.com, and you can send us a contact request, and we would definitely get that information. If you are in the state of Texas, we can close any files in the great state of Texas. So we do a lot in the Houston area, as well as in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So please, if you just have questions about anything with regarding the transaction, just reach out to us and we'll be sure to help you.
Thank you, Ms. Jerry, for that information on title and close, because once everything is complete with the title company, then you have the opportunity to get the keys to your new home. And that's a wonderful thing when you can pass on the keys and allow a client to enter into that new home with those keys. So we thank you for that information. Thank you for that process. So you guys have heard tonight, I know we've gone through this kind of fast, but you've got the gist of the home buying process, where to start, the people or individuals that are involved in the process. Now, we've had a lender, we've had a real estate broker speak to you, we have an inspector, title, but there are other people that are involved in this process. So it's not just your real estate agent. So when I always tell my client, once we execute a contract, the wheels start turning around in the background where a lot of people are working on your behalf. So it's not just me. There are other individuals working on your behalf. I mean, you have underwriting, you have processing, you have so many people involved in the process. So your team is there for you and to help you. So don't go through the home buying process alone, because you have a team of folks that can do everything for you. I mean, the process itself is stressful, but if you're trying to do it by yourself, it's going to be even more stressful. So allow your team of professionals to help you through this process. So now we're at the part and process for Q&A. So Mr. Joe Paul, do we have any questions out there that our panelists can answer?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we absolutely do. We're going to bring the panelists back up, but I want to I want to pay close attention to something that you just said. We'll wait for all the panelists to come up, and then I'll finish. I want to pay close attention to what you just said. It's really tough for us, and you know what I mean by us, to ask for help, right? But you are spot on. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so you're absolutely right. We need a team behind us. And it's exciting to see a lot of us who are professionals who look like each other. It's a little different when we're approaching you. You know, we know how to handle each other. So this is really, really inspiring. And thank you to all of our panel members. We're going to shift over to our audience and give them an opportunity to ask us questions. We see those questions filling up. This is amazing. Ask as many questions as you have, ladies and gentlemen, and we will get to as many as time allots. And we'll go in the order that they were received, starting with Miss Lindsay William, and then Miss Washington and I will choose who will respond. But if you want to respond and you really feel like I got this one, just put your hands up and we'll recognize you and we'll make sure we get to that. So the first one is with Miss Lindsay Williams. Does it make good financial sense to place a primary residence or summer home into an LLC? I think we want to leave that. How about our Esquire?
Okay, that would depend. And to answer that question, I'm going to say you need to speak to an attorney who is in your state, and depending on what those what the laws are in regards to that, and also the tax ramifications. So you would need to, I would say, your lawyer and a CPA in order to get that answer. But depending on your situation, that could be a great idea. I personally will do it when I end up leasing my home out. So it just all depends on your particular situation. So definitely reach out to an attorney within your state and see what is going to be best for you in your situation.
That's great. Great advice, folks. I know that's why you came in here, for this good advice. So we have another question here from Joe Brooks, and I think we can hear from Mr. Isham or even Mr. Lashley. And the question is, how much should a person budget for closing costs? The cool thing is, if you work with NAREB, you might not even have any closing costs, but we're going to save that for another conversation. Who would like to take this, Mr. Lashley, or who would like to take this one? How much should a person budget for closing costs?
With the down payment assistance programs or without, usually the rule of thumb is about 2 to 2.5% in California for closing costs. I can't speak about other states, but that's what the rule of thumb is out here in California.
Mr. Isham, don't forget, we want to hear all the important things that you have to say.
Yeah, and I also like to say that that could be negotiated. And as most of the time, my clients, I'm representing them, I try to get those to have the sellers pay for those closing costs.
It's excellent. That's excellent. You want to pass them on. Is it typically baked into the loan, or is it something that the actual sellers say, hey, look, we'll take care of it? How does that typically work?
Well, I mean, most of the time, the clients, those are fees and costs that comes with doing a transaction. And a lot of times, I try to have the seller, pass that on to them, just to ensure that the buyer is not trying to come up with additional funding.
Of course, that's because we protect our people, which is fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Isham. We have a question from Miss August Rain, or Mr. August Rain. Let's just say August Rain. And so, and it's for Ms. Gathers. Now, Ms. Gathers, I know that all of us are in business, right? And so the tough part is everybody who ain't family and friends look for that friends and family discount. That's not what we're talking about here, okay? We want to know what's a reasonable cost to hiring an inspector. We're not talking about somebody, hey, Ms. Gathers, I know you got your company and I know what you usually charge, but how much for me? Let's talk about a reasonable cost to hire an inspector. Ms. Gathers?
Okay, so my call center handles the costing and they use a formula. It depends on if it's a co-op, condo, duplex, simplex, 1 family, 2 family, 4 family. So they look at the square footage, okay, and they look at the age of the property. So for example, a 1,300 square foot single family home built in 1978 will cost for a basic package about 500, maybe 525. but I offer different packages. So, you know, if you want to go up to a premium package that involves IR scans and it comes with a lifetime advisory, which means as long as you own that home, you can call us and ask us questions about that home. It's a little higher than that, but there's a range that we use. My policy has always been, I'm a minority business owner. I will never turn a family away because of money. My business, my prices. So if a family needs some type of financial assistance to get that quality inspection done, I work with the family.
That's amazing. Basically, don't let money keep you from getting your house.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I absolutely love it. But also, if you got it, pay for it. Okay, you get what you pay for. So we ain't trying to get no discount, but we got you. Right? So thank you so much, Ms. Gathers. We have a few more questions, and folks, don't forget, please use that comment section on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll get to as many questions as time allots. We have Miss Danielle Crawford Clay, who has a question about income limits, and I think we'll lean on Mr. Lashley for that one. Are there any income limits or home loan limits for the down payment assistance? And I think this is a very good question, Mr. Lashley, because a lot of times our folks actually have great incomes, et cetera, and we may think that that kind of disqualifies us from down payment assistance, or it might limit us in the type of home that we can purchase. Do you want to talk about that, Mr. Lashley?
Yes. So the income limits are pretty much just set by the county in which the property is located in. You know, this county and the state, I should say, which the property is located in. It could vary dramatically depending on how much the income is normal for that area. They use an area median income index to pretty much come up with what would be the maximum. Here in the counties that I live at, which is like, you know, the Bay Area, you know, Sacramento, where the state capital is at, it's about 167 a year. So the Bay Area is a little bit higher. Down there is like about 185. So it could vary. You know, California is a big state, and there's a lot of different counties, some rural that are a lot less. But here in California, now if anybody's interested in finding out more information about the down payment assistance programs, because there's a lot of them that's out there. Across the country, we do have a lot of partners that if I can't do your loan, then I have somebody that I can refer you to that would be able to help you out with the down payment assistance programs in your area that you're at.
That's fantastic. Ms. Washington, do you have any meat you want to add to the bones?
Well, I am great. Is there any, I do have one question for the panel. Is now a great time with all that's going on with the pandemic? Is it a great time to buy? So I want to hear from each of our panelists to answer that.
Absolutely. Low interest rates. There's a lot of assistance programs out there. You know, the housing market goes in cycles. Once that cycle passes and interest rates go up, we tend to be priced out. So this is a beautiful opportunity to purchase a home. Because of the pandemic, it's opened up other financial opportunities, like being able to tap into your 401k and get monies with minimum penalties. So all these things tying in with the pandemic, this is an excellent time to purchase.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
100% agree with that.
Well, I tell you what, I know this much. I was shocked recently when someone told me the interest rates. And I was like, really? Now, what's the current interest rate for 30-year fixed? Is it really 0.8 or 0.9 or something?
I wish it was
Is that true?
low.
Oh, okay.
No, it's about 2.875. I locked in a loan at 2.75 today, 30-year fixed.
Yeah, and I would definitely say if there's veterans, I just closed on a loan and they were at 1.875.
So, folks,
Yeah.
we look. Ms. Washington asked, "What else do you need to hear?" It's time to buy that home. It's absolutely time to buy that home. We want to take a few more questions from the audience, and we have Joe Brooks' question coming up next, and it says, and of course, our resident Esquire, Ms. London, of course, responded, but we're going to give an opportunity to respond live. And Joe Brooks asked, "Should you move forward on a property if it has liens on it?"
Yes, you should. Yes, you should. You should definitely move forward. What you don't want to do is close the property and those liens are not going to be taken care of. So typically the liens that you're going to see on the commitment is going to be the mortgage, the mortgage that's currently on the property, that's the common one. And that is typically, well, not typically, it's always supposed to be paid at closing. So I would definitely say, whenever you get the commitment, go over that commitment. If you have questions about it, that's why we're here as your title representation and also your realtor to ask them those questions to make sure that those fees are going to be taken care of at closing. And that's also why you have title insurance. I know we really didn't talk about that, but the purpose of title insurance is to protect you from things that happened in the past with the property. So in a situation where a lien gets missed on that, in your transaction, then that's where your title insurance will come in and take effect. So that way you are not responsible for someone else's debt.
Super wise, super wise. Anyone else want to add to that? I mean, we heard from Miss London, so you know the gavel's been pounded. So I don't think we need to. So fantastic. We had a question that came up earlier at 7:30 from Joe Brooks, and it says, "Can you touch on first-time homebuyers programs and how can one go about finding home loans with zero down payment?" Would like to take that one, Ms. Washington or Mr. Lashley?
I'd be happy to take that question. There is ways to find out about DPA programs. I would start with just the local stuff that's available in your area. You know, they're statewide, they're countywide. You know, just depending on what state that you live in and that you're looking to buy in. You know, there's some excellent programs out there. In California, the program that I utilize the most is called Open Door. And what I love about this program is that it'll give up to 7% DPA, and it will give 3.5% gift, like getting money from grandma. And then the other 3.5% is a silent second that you do have to repay when you sell or refinance the house. But excellent program. I just closed a gentleman who bought a duplex here in California for about $485, and he purchased that duplex for about $4,500 out of pocket to get both sides of it. So it's ways to make it work. And if there's, like I said, if there's something that's one-off, because I know that this meeting is across the country. So if you are in a different state other than California, I could share my information, and then you could reach out to me on a private portion of it, and then I'll find somebody that can definitely help you in the state and the county that you're in.
4,500. Excuse me, Ms. Washington. I was just that $4,500 got my attention. I said, wait a minute, what? So please, Ms. Washington, go ahead.
One thing I always tell clients, because sometimes clients will come and they are looking for down payment assistance and they already have a lender. Make sure that if you are looking for down payment assistance, that lender you're working with offers down payment assistance, because not all lenders offer down payment assistance. So that's one of the key questions you want to ask the lender that you're working with, particularly if you are looking for down payment assistance.
Mr. Isham,
Yeah,
you have a comment, please.
Yeah, I like to add to it that also, and this is a little biased, but that's why I would recommend you consulting a realtist, because we know where the funds at, we know where the program's at, we're familiar with the programs, we know the lenders, we know the places to go get it, and most of those who are in that space, we deal with day to day. And so it's real powerful to work with the realtist member so that you can have access to the things that we know you need to help your home buying purchase go smoothly and very thoughtful of what you need. Because there are a lot of other professionals that don't know what you need. They don't know where to get it. They don't know how to get it. And realtors members know what you need and who has what you need.
Thank you, Jerry, for that. For those of you who don't know, our trade name, we are known as realtists. So it's no mistake, realtists. So, and we're from all walks of life, from title, as you can see, lenders, real estate agents, real estate brokers, appraisers, um, developers, you name it. If we touch real estate in any kind of way, we are part of the organization. So we are one-stop shop for everything.
You know, one of the amazing things about NAREB is it's just a little different when you're coming into a space and someone looks like you and they understand your needs and they understand your wants and then they understand your pain points, and they know where to find a solution, because all of these experts here and the ones who represented with NAREB, they've seen all the scenarios possible. They know what you've gone through. And there's so many things that you think might be holding you back, but once you call a realtist or a member from NAREB, they can absolutely answer your questions. So it's just different when the person who you're speaking to understands you, right? And can meet you halfway. So again, as Ms. Washington said, don't do this by yourself. If you choose to, it's on you, all right? So now we got a couple more questions as we wind down our conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, again, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the comment section. We're trying to get Black homeownership up. We're trying to build Black wealth in Black communities. This is one of the proven ways to do it. We didn't invent it. We're just making it better. So when we talk about down payments, that's one of the pain points. Ms. Washington, I know you and I were talking about this backstage, but one of the pain points that a lot of people have are thinking, man, I just don't have the down payment. I don't have a grandma who left me all this money. Or I don't have a dad or mom who this. I've had to work for all of it, and I want a home, but I just don't have. I don't have the down payment. Mr. Lashley, what? And this is a question from Miss Keena Brown. What are some good loans that require no down payment or low down payments? Are there any loans? I mean, we have FHA, and we also know about NACA. Ms. Washington, NAREB works with NACA, yes?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, Mr. Lashley, if you would please, let's help Ms. Brown with her question.
So yeah, there are a lot of different down payment assistance programs. The ones that are really popular work with, just various credit. Cal HFA for California is a good one, but just depending on what state you're in, we could definitely find, with one of our NAREB partners, a definite down payment assistance program that would fit for what you're trying to do and where you're trying to buy a home at. There's a lot of them in Texas, and I know Laura can talk about those specifically, and hopefully Jerry can talk about some of the ones that's available in his neck of the woods and so forth. But I speak for California because I can only do loans here in California, but there are a lot of them. So don't get discouraged. Don't get where somebody tells you that it won't work for you, because I promise you, if you go out there and look for something, you will find something that will be able to help you.
Exactly. There's your different products out there. You have your USDA and you have your VA and your veteran, and a lot of veterans don't know this. That's 100% down payment, so you don't have to worry about the down payment there. But then you also have your FHA, which is 3.5% typically, and conventional 5%. But then you have each lender that may have their in-house product that may offer 100% down payment with their own in-house product. So every lender is different. So you just have to do your homework, ask the right questions, and make it known if you want down payment assistance, because they'll be able to tell you whether or not you qualify for those down payment assistance funds.
Fantastic. Sound advice. Please, Mr. Isham.
Yeah, and I would add that most of the down payments in our locale, they really try to, a lot of them try to exclude those who kind of make too much from getting the down payment. So the thing is to be, kind of in need of it and prepare and readiness of it. Also, there's the key in the real estate is the equity. And sometimes you could buy a property with the equity built in. A lot of times we focus on that small portion of the down payment. But the overall key in real estate is the equity that's in the real estate. And so and there's different types of loans that can that has rehab, and you can get a lot more equity in the property as opposed to just a down payment, a small 3% or 5%, where you can get 20 and 30% worth of equity, and that's much larger than that down payment that a lot of people may focus on. And so that's why you really want to know the mechanics of what you're working with, and then too, the more you invested in it, the more you connected to the house too. And so you got them red bottom shoes, you got that Louis bag, you pull up in that Lexus. I mean, you got to add to it too to make it, to make the relationship with you and the house work.
And this is incredible because everyone here, I tell you, your road will be a lot easier if you rely on experts, right? The most important thing is you don't have to do everything yourself unless you choose to. We're winding down, and we have had tons of comments because people want to know, how can they get in contact with you? Ms. Washington, if it's okay with you, can we go around and get some contact info? How can people respond? How can people, if they need a realtor, inspector, a title company, if they need a lender, can we go around and give everybody an opportunity to share about 30, 45 seconds about how people can get in contact with them?
Yes. We'll start with Ms. Jerry.
Perfect.
All right, so you can contact me by going to our website at www.mprtitle.com. On our website, you're able to submit a contact form, which will go directly to our office, and we will answer any question that you have. You can also call us at 214-396-2300. Thank you for having me, and please reach out if you have any questions about the process. We're here as a title company to navigate you to that closing table.
Ms. Gathers.
Hi again. You can email me directly at Jacqueline, JCQUELINE.gathers@pillar2post.com, or you can call me directly at 917-670-8536. My website is www.pillar2post.com/Jacqueline.
Thank you, Ms. Gathers. Mr. Lashley.
Hello, everyone. My phone number that can be contacted at is 916-412-2400. That is my cell phone. And my email address is jlashley, LASHLEY, at myhomelegacy.com. And my website is www.juanlashley.com. Oh, there it is on the screen. Or my other phone number.
Thank you, Juan. And Jerry.
Yes, well, I can be reached at on my website at movement-realty.com. My phone number is 513-388-7277. Service Ohio and Kentucky, and I can be found on NAREB's website. I'm in Region 8. I'm an RVP of the region, which covers Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan. And hopefully when you go to our site, you'll see a bunch of our Realtors members that can help you out throughout the country.
Thank you, Mr. Jerry. We want to thank all of our panelists for coming out and joining us and sharing their valuable information this evening. Now, we know that there's individuals out there that are all over out there, and of course, we are a nationwide organization. So if you have any questions or additional questions after this, you can text Alpha 20 to 31996. Again, text Alpha 20 to 31996. You'll also have the opportunity to win some gift cards. So any additional information after this, you can text to Alpha 20 at 319-96, and we'll be happy to put you in touch with the realtors for whatever your needs are, or to answer any questions that you may have after this panel. So we want to thank our panel.
What an amazing conversation. This has added tremendous value to us all, right? I mean, this is great. We can tell by the comments from our listeners, from our folks. And on behalf of NARAB and Alpha Phi Alpha, I want to say special thank you to everyone here, because you can always make more money, you can always even make more friends, but you can never get more time. And so I appreciate you all sharing your time with us. Washington, I'm gonna turn it over to you because we have a special guest coming up. And then after he speaks, I'll wrap up our conversation and we'll give everybody the balance of their evening.
Well, thank you. We have our president, Mr. Donnell Williams. We call him Pete 31, that wants to come and give us some little closing words of wisdom.
Well, hello, everybody. Want to say thank you all for being present here on the show. You can see I'm trying out my new green screen and what have you. But look, I want to thank my Realtors members, and I want to thank everybody in the audience that's out there listening to us, because I'm sure that they dropped some words of wisdom on you as it relates to real estate. And at the end of the day, I need you to know that the Realtors family is here for you. We're here to help you with your real estate needs, whatever they may be. All right. So again, my name is Donnell Williams. I am the president of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. Good night. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So here we are, Ms. Washington.
We made it through our second event, and second of many more to come, because there's so many different avenues to touch in real estate. Everybody thinks real estate is just about buying and selling a home, but there's so many other avenues: development, investment, etc. And we will touch on all of those things to help. Those are different avenues to help you build wealth within your community, within our community, but also within a family, so that you can pass that wealth on from generations to generations to come. So I'm excited. I can't wait for our next webinar, and helping to uplift and bring those 1,000 new alpha homeowners by way of NARAB.
We are truly excited about the partnership, Ms. Washington, really are. This is unprecedented, right? Our goal is to make sure that we get 1,000 brothers to purchase homes. But here's the kicker. It's not just our brothers, right? We want you, who's not a brother of Alpha, to also purchase a home. That's one of the reasons why a lot of our webinars are public facing. We feel like we want to educate our brothers. We want to also educate the public. We really appreciate your support, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to wrap up our conversation. This has been amazing. This is part 2 of a series of webinars that we're going to be bringing in to make sure that you understand how to purchase a home. Again, the best way that we're going to bridge that gap, that wealth gap, which is very real, is the first start is to make sure that you become homeowners. That's how you build Black wealth, through homeownership. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joe Paul, the Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. On behalf of the General President, Brother Dr. Everett B. Ward, on behalf of NARAB, I want to say thank you for sharing your time with us. Please follow us on social media and visit our website, www.apa1906.net or www.narab.org, and we will absolutely be available to assist you. Have a great evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us.